Hey up, Danny, how you doing, mate? Oh, how I'd missed that dulcet noise. That wonderful noise that is your impression of Dan Harmon's impression of a drunken scientist. Is it Dan Harmon?
We're back.
It's Dan Harmon, right?
No, it's Justin Roiland, Lewis.
Oh, bugger, yeah. I always get them mixed up. I'm rubbish at putting faces to names.
I mean, it's not really an impression, is it? I mean, it's his character.
Okay, that's very true.
It's not as if it's not as if, oh, you know that great character Rick on that show, I can do the best impression of him. And it's just perfect.
But you are right, we are back. We're talking about season 4B of Rick and Morty. Is it 5 more episodes, including this one?
Yep, this is episode 6 to episode 10.
Times.
Yes. And this episode was called Never Ricking Morty. So, yeah, I mean, they're sticking with their theme of shoving in the name Rick and Morty into their titles as much as possible.
I saw on Instagram that it's something like they actively come up with the title first based on some kind of pun around Rick or Morty, and then they come up with the plot for an episode, which is bizarre to me.
It's a bit bizarre, but, you know, I love it, so there you go. And this episode was starring Justin Roiland, Spencer Grammer? Yeah, Spencer Grammer, Sarah Chalk, Chris Parnell.
Indeed.
There were other people in it, but like those are the main ones.
By the way,
Justin Roiland.
Before we get into it, Chris Parnell, who of course voices Jerry, right?
Yeah, that's right.
He has done so much stuff, but like I had no idea what he looked like until I forget what it was he was in an episode
Jerry.
of. It was Brooklyn Nine-Nine that he was in an episode of, and I was like, that sounds like Jerry, and I looked it up and it was Jerry. Then I started recognising him in loads of things, like he did an episode of Friends, like in the 90s or whatever. Like how wild. He's been doing stuff for a million years, and he was in a couple of episodes of American Dad as like a man that had been transformed into a bird by Halliburton oil or something ridiculous. And it's bizarre the amount of work he's really done. It's one of the things that really gets me is like we're immediately off the beaten track here, and this is meant to be a condensed podcast, but we're going to go with it. There's, you might not know, Mr. Trigger from Friends is like the caretaker of the building. He also played the Captain McGintley in Brooklyn Nine-Nine, the previous captain of the 99th Precinct, and he was in it for like 2 or 3 cameo appearances, basically, in the first episode.
Is he quite tall?
Yeah, he's very tall. He's got that big sort of moustache.
Is he quite old?
Yeah.
Am I thinking of someone else?
No, I think
you know the guy who's like, always in a bathrobe and he comes out and like he tries to steal Ross's monkey.
There's always Oh, you're thinking of yeah, I know who you're thinking of, but you're not thinking of the right guy. But yeah, Mr. Trigger is like the caretaker of the building, and he played Captain McGintley, and he played like a blacksmith in some episode of Star Trek. I had it on and I was just like, hang on, is that Trigger from Friends? But yeah, it's crazy seeing actors do like smaller parts in things. Like Jonathan Banks from Better Call Saul, he was in an old episode of Deep Space Nine. Which is, it's just, okay, I'm going to stop going crazy about this stuff, but it's crazy, right?
He was also in Parks and Rec as well.
Jonathan Banks?
Yep.
Was he?
It was. There's a scene where it's like the last shrimp in the buffet.
Oh god, yeah,
and him and Ron meet up and they just stare at each other for like 2 minutes.
He's Ben's dad, isn't he? Yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
Oh, I love Parks and Rec.
The only actor that I don't know, like anything else that they've done, is Spencer Grammer, who plays Summer.
Is it Kelsey Grammer's wife?
I don't know.
Spencer Grammer, because Kelsey Grammer did like Friends and Cheers and stuff like that. Spencer Grammer.
Justin Roiland has done loads of stuff. He was in Fish Hooks. Do you remember Fish Hooks?
I do not.
It's a Disney show. He was in that, and he did the voice for that. Sarah Chalk was in Scrubs.
Sure. So Spencer Grammer is Kelsey Grammer's daughter. She's done quite a bit of stuff. Nothing that I actually recognise. So we might not be ignorant of this. We might just be ignorant of everything.
Wow. 6 episodes in, and we're discussing what the other actors do. Fuck.
Well, anyway, what's this?
This episode was written by Jeff Loveness, and it was directed by Erica Hayes.
Well, hey.
Okay, so opening statements.
The absurdism is alive and well.
Wow.
That's it. That's the opening statement.
Couldn't have put it better myself. We are back, and Rick and Morty are as meta as ever. A pure middle finger, in brackets, filled with love at the fanboys and hitting home now that this is the writer's show and no one else's. Okay.
I similarly couldn't agree more. This entire show was just sort of a big middle finger to people that have said, well, Rick and Morty doesn't make any narrative sense. There's no narrative cohesion and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then people that are asking, what's going to be the conclusion for Evil Morty? Are we ever going to see these monsters from Gazorpazorp again? Yeah. And then it's like, they come for like half a second. What's happened to Phoenix Person? What about Tammy? And then that brief thing for half a second, and it just goes ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, I can't. It hurt me a little bit, but seeing that, because it feels as if it's a jab to all the fan theorists out there. And that's fine. I mean, it's their show, and I'm happy to go along for the ride. But I can't help. I can't lie and say that I wasn't a bit hurt when I saw Evil Morty and all of that, and it looked so good. And then Rick starts praying to Jesus.
Oh God, it's ridiculous. It's
oh, it's so good.
Yeah. It's just the most ridiculous, absurd thing. The thing that really made me laugh was the emergency continuity thing. When got some emergency continuity. Well, let's save this for later. And then he said, "Well, couldn't we just cut around it or just not film? I'd rather die." And it just really tickled me. It's so very. Yeah, I just really like that.
A lot of the hardcore fanboys don't like the meta commentary, and they just want answers to their questions. But it's like Rick and Morty was never that show. Evil Morty wasn't planned. He was just sort of tacked on to the end, when it's everything is just sort of made up as they go along. It's not some massive big overarching Game of Thrones-ish show. It's stories that the writers themselves want to tell, and we're just here to listen and watch.
I liked how ridiculous some of the characters were in this. That one sat at I think it was like a poker table or something, said, "I am the concept of time." It just really tickled me. It's such a ridiculous thing to say, but you can see it happening in something like Doctor Who or Star Trek. I am the embodiment of the concept of time. Or whatever it might be. It's ridiculous.
They take the piss out of Dan Harmon's story template. If you saw that when Rick and Morty are looking over this plan of the story, it's like the hero's journey. The 8 steps.
I do.
The circle. Yeah, they were taking the piss out of that, and they were talking about stuff like the 5th wall and stuff like that.
Yeah, what is the 5th wall?
What is the 5th wall? I'm going to Google it right now.
I was just about to Google it myself. Because the 4th wall is the wall that separates the action from the audience, as it were. But then, because it comes from there being an actual 4th wall on, like 3-camera comedy shows, like Friends, or Frasier, or Big Bang Theory is a really good example. Excuse me, where, there would be a set where there would be a room comprised of 4 walls, and you would take out the 4th wall, and you'd put the audience and the cameras there.
Yeah.
So that's where the term comes from. But what is the 5th wall? The roof or something? This is that bit from Fresh Prince where he says, where Will Smith is on the sofa and he goes, "If we're so rich, why can't we even afford a roof?" And the camera pans up, and it's studio lights and a studio ceiling and stuff.
Yeah. So, breaking the 4th wall occurs when actors/narrators reference the audience or the fact that they are in a performance. Breaking the 5th wall is similar, but it occurs when actors/narrators reference their previous works or their lives outside of the performance.
Oh, so if Ted Danson turned to the camera in The Good Place and said, "Hey, do you recognise me from Cheers?"
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
That's bizarre.
Makes sense.
So So was the fifth wall broken in this episode?
I don't know. Was it a cat?
Because
Everything happened so fast.
Dog World. Well, they didn't.
Yeah, they brought that back as well.
Yeah, they showed Dog World and Phoenix Person But it's not previous works. That's previous Rick and Morty. Do you know what I mean?
Everything that no, not a meta. Everything that a hardcore fan could want was in this episode, and then it was just
none of this is canon. Only things on the train are canon.
Don't worry, Morty. Don't worry, Morty. None of it's canon.
But then that begs the question, like, so if only stuff on the train was canon, then was the stuff in the living room at the end of the episode canon? Because that was outside of the train, and it was revealed that everything inside the train was like some kind of weird thing.
That's a good point. And the fact that, well, maybe it isn't, because the entire episode is meant to be like an advert for this train.
Is it?
Like because they show. Remember, they show that the actual they promote like the actual train.
Yeah.
The two of them, and then Rick talks about capitalism, and then says,
God.
nobody's buying shit with this fucking virus, and then the episode ends. So it's almost as if like the entire episode is Rick, sort of advertising this train, and then he feels bad about it, and because he's shilled.
Don't return it, Morty. Just buy another one.
Buy more, you little consumer. I love you.
Oh, God. I mean, avid listeners of the podcast will know my feelings on capitalism. But that just it's so out of character for Rick. It's like, it felt like one of those sort of BBC structured debates where they get like a scientist in to explain why vaccines are a good idea. Then they get a lunatic in to explain why vaccines are a bad idea. It felt like that. The entire episode was authentic Rick going, oh, for God's sake, this train is ridiculous. We're just going to go around this track forever. And then, like, the end of the episode was just like Rick going, oh, for God's sake, well, I suppose I better provide the opposite opinion and say I love capitalism so much. Everybody needs to consume. Buy my merch. It really made me laugh when they said, buy my merch. We've got new merch. Because, like, literally, last night, me and you were saying that exact thing on an Instagram live stream. We've got merch. Have a look at our merch. See if you like any of it.
You know, I'm happy to admit that I'm a hypocrite, Lewis. You know, I'm very comfortable with the fact that, despite how much you and I rail against capitalism on our podcast, and buy our really expensive socks.
It's what's that Walt Whitman quote? Yes, I contradict myself, for I contain multitudes, or something like that.
Yes, something like that. Let's put a deeper meaning on it so that we can continue to trick folk. But you know, there's a charm in brutal honesty, isn't there?
There is. This is very true.
You know, I think that's why people like Rick so much, is that because he's so, even though he's really unreasonable, it's like he's not afraid to say what he actually thinks, regardless of the situation. It's like when he's getting choked by Supernova, and Morty, and him and Morty are like dying, and she's like, just let Titty Bean do this, Snuzzles. It's for the greater good. Morty goes, the greater good, and Rick goes, Titty Bean, what?
Oh God, it's ridiculous. I think obviously Rick is a terrible person. Rick has these great moral lapses, but I do agree with you that that's what people like is his brutal honesty.
Yeah, but he lies as well all the time,
yes. Constantly. I did.
He's a fascinating character.
One thing I did like, it's obviously it's not even canon, so it barely matters. But the sort of poopy butthole demon that was leading the army. The army of, what was it? It was like Rick's in the middle, Meeseeks on the right, the left, and then Gazorpazorp demons on the right. Like, what happened to generate the poopy butthole demon? Because didn't he got shot, and then he recovered, and then he got his GED, and there was that, hope you guys didn't waste your time. I went to high school, got my GED, got a new job. What did you do for 4 years? Fuck around. But yeah, that really tickled me. But what did he do? Is he like abandoned? Has Poopy Butthole abandoned his wife and child and just said, right, no, fuck it, I'm going to be a demon in the universe and wage war against Rick Sanchez in this hypothetical reality?
Well, see, the problem that I have is it canon? Is it just an alternate timeline? Or is it?
I think it's like a potential timeline. That's the vibe I got.
See, I think the correct vibe, and I might be wrong, is that fuck you, it doesn't even matter. It's like we'll get to this stuff when we want. It's like it's not up to you, it's up to us. We decide when it's happening.
Oh,
so
yeah.
Get over it.
That's one thing I do admire is like more traditional dramas and more traditional things like that will have like a mid-season nod to the arc. A top of the season, a middle of the season, and the end of the season, sort of nod to this overall arc. But Rick and Morty have never really done that. They've always been very freeform, very we'll just do it when we get to it, sort of thing, which is admirable.
I mean, it just was this the interdimensional cable episode of this season?
I suppose it kind of has to be.
I know that the writers hate the gimmick of it, but they said that they'll have one every season, but it might not be interdimensional cable. It'll be an anthology type thing.
Yeah, because we had two cables, a Mind Blowers, and now this sort of bizarre anthology on a train thing.
Yeah, so it's like an anthology type thing. I think every season, which is good. I guess it's like the Simpsons Treehouse of Horror, and I bet they hate that. I bet they hate that they've now gimmicked their own their own show.
To be honest, I always did like the Treehouse of Horror stuff.
Yeah, but the fact I think it annoys the writers that the fact that everyone's expecting it. I think they, I can't remember what the quote was. It was from Dan Harmon. It's like, I hate shows that are expected and do this sort of once a season rigmarole that everyone is waiting for. I don't want it to be like that. I want it to be very surprising and very unexpected, and you get what you get, and that's it.
Yeah. And now he's doing this annual anthology.
Yeah, that he must hate himself for that. He must cry himself to sleep every night.
Cries himself to sleep behind his wall of cash that he's got from Rick and Morty. He's sewn together $100 bills, and that's what he covers himself with to sleep at night.
Rick and Money, that's the ultra capitalist version.
Alternate dimension.
Rick and a barrel of money going around saving the universe from the evil clutches of socialism.
Oh God, how very bizarre that would be.
They'll do that. I bet they'll do that at some point. They have to do that.
Oh, 100%. I'm surprised they didn't do it in what was that episode with where Morty was like making his way through the world because of that psychic crystal thing, and there was the teddy bear Rick that said "Ich bin faschiste" or something, and like turned on the light and revealed all this fascist stuff.
One thing that was good about that episode, that every single fascist Rick was in a bathrobe. I think that's the telltale sign. I think that's like, you're in a fascist utopia, or dystopia, I should say. When
if he's in a bathrobe.
Rick is in a bathrobe. Even the wee bear was in a little bathrobe. Bist du fascistisch? Nope.
Oh God. Yeah, it's ridiculous.
I have a question.
Oh, sorry, go on.
Is doing meta commentary and self-deprecating humor cheating?
No. I think it's bizarre, but I don't think it's cheating. I think it's sort of just a bizarre spin on the traditional non-meta commentary. Because everything has some level of commentary about it. Do you know what I mean? It's your choice as the writer and as the creator what that commentary is going to be about. Is it going to be a meta commentary on the current state of affairs? Is it going to be commentary on the current state of affairs, or a meta commentary on your own show? I think it's just a choice they've made. I don't think it's cheating in any way. What do you think?
Well, say there's a show that's really bad, really bad. It just sucks.
Yeah, The Room, the TV series. Yeah.
but I think The Room would be forgiven for being as bad as it was if Tommy Wiseau looked to the camera and started admitting how bad it was. Because then it would seem as if that was part of the plan.
Yeah, that's true.
Do you know what I mean? I think that is considered cheating. That's what I do with this podcast all the time. If it's getting
really
a bit
terrible.
dark,
Why are you listening?
This is shit. Haha, meta commentary. And I think it works for a lot of people.
Yeah.
It's like, that's why I think, could it be cheating? Like, shows that are consistently funny without doing that, are they better than shows that are, constantly pulling the curtain away and saying, haha, look how shit we are?
No, I don't think they're objectively better. I think,
they can't be objectively better, but you know what I mean.
Sort of. Because I think it's sort of a type of show that does this meta-commentary. Like, Family Guy does it sort of semi-regularly. Like, every now and then Stewie will look into the camera and say, oh god, this is an episode about Lois, or whatever it'll be. Game of Thrones is on the other side. Go and watch that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I think you can't imagine a more traditional comedy doing that. Like, can you imagine an episode of Brooklyn Nine-Nine where Charles looks into the camera and says, and if you don't like this food I'm preparing, I don't even know what's on now. Westworld is on the other channel. Go and watch that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It doesn't... I can't imagine that happening in a different type of comedy.
No. I think you set the tone early on and then you decide what you're gonna do with it.
I think you're right. It is a different... It's a different tone. I think it's not that it's better or worse, it's that it's different. Yeah. Because if you said to me you can only watch for the rest of your life either Family Guy that constantly breaks the fourth wall, or Brooklyn Nine-Nine that never does, I would go, well, I don't really want to pick. Because they're two very, very different things. They provide a different type of humour. You know what I mean? It's a tonal shift more than it is a single sort of writing choice.
That's very true. I agree. Do you think that they got Tammy's voice actor back just for that one scene?
I would imagine so, yeah.
So, hey, we haven't seen you for 2 or 4 years. We're going to bring Tammy back. It's going to be cool. Oh, great! What am I doing? Okay, you're in one scene and it's a massive simulation. Oh.
Oh, well, that's shit.
I'm not... Do you know what? I'm striking the whole sort of... What do you think? How do you think Evil Morty will come into it anymore? I'm not even going to ask anymore.
No?
This episode has royally told me to go fuck myself.
You're not allowed to ask that question.
Like
that question is above your pay grade.
Yeah. When it arrives, it'll arrive. So just enjoy the ride. That's the message I got from it.
Enjoy the ride. That's the one.
Yeah.
Oh god. There's loads of like.
I just love. Sorry, go on.
My notes for this episode are just like, merch, capitalism, what? Virus, when was this made? There's all just questions that I have no idea how to answer.
I get the feeling that in the booth they've got this entire episode planned, and then Justin Roiland just goes, "Oh fuck it, I want to talk about this. Let's just talk about the virus."
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if that's how they do it. And I love that. I love how improvised it is.
Sure.
and how freeform it is. I think that's what makes the show special.
And there are two lines that I particularly liked from that last sort of almost improvised bit was, these toys are not alive in any ways that matter. It just really made me laugh. Like, what the hell does that mean? Like, oh my god. Not buying this train is an act of buying it. And it's like, oh, I hate capitalism, but it's this very specific, bizarre sort of Kafka trap that Rick sets up for himself. It's bizarre.
I love it when Morty tries to make create a story based on that what's her name again? I've forgotten her name. The feminist writer who challenges. See, I'm already guilty of it. Who challenges a writer to create a story about female characters.
Oh, the Bechdel
don't
test.
mention. Sorry?
The Bechdel test.
Yes, that's it. And Morty's struggling like more than... There are female scorpions outside, and they want to kill us. Let's go out and kill them with our female powers.
It really... I don't get me wrong, that entire section was like a study in this bizarre absurdism, but it made me... I thought it was kind of impressive how they managed to make the sort of Justin Roiland... Well, it was like... They got Sarah Chalk and... oh my god, Summer and Beth. They got Summer and Beth.
Spencer Grammer.
Yes, they got those two to do those lines as though they were Morty thinking them up on the spot. Which that is probably much more difficult than it sounds. I was watching it thinking, well, that's weird, but I'm kind of into it. It's bizarre, but I like it.
And then after it's over, good job, Morty. A feminist masterpiece. It so is the way just like someone who's like desperate to try and be woke would write a story like that. That you see that like all the time, where it's like, you are women and you are great, just like forcing it down the audience's throat with no nuance like whatsoever.
I think
I just love how the writers don't give a fuck.
Yeah,
they just really don't care about their what Evil Morty and Tammy and the Galactic Federation. Where are they this season? Ah, well, we've got them here for you. Yes, here they are in a simulation.
What happened to the Citadel of Ricks? The last we saw of them, was the last we saw of them Rick dismantling the Citadel of Ricks?
No, the last we saw of them was Evil Morty taking.
Oh God, yeah.
Yep, and then it was, and then it was over, and then at the end of that episode, after the credits, Rick was like, that place will never have any bearing over our lives ever again.
It's one thing that does get me about this show that I'm not quite sure how I feel, but like, there's loads of bits where it's like, yeah, okay, something's happened at the Citadel of Ricks, but the entire point of the show is that nothing matters, so why should I really give a shit about the latest developments at the Citadel of Ricks? Why does it matter, you know?
Yeah. It's, they've got 70 episodes to do. Like,
yeah, after this episode, will it be 60 after this series?
Yeah, I would say so. You think that they'll never touch on these things again? Obviously they will. It's just going to be in their own time and at their own pace.
Yeah. So
just enjoy it. Like, see, to be fair, it does. I think it takes a lot of dedication to be a Rick and Morty fan, because they come out with these series like years apart, and like then there's like a break.
Yeah.
And then you need to wait until the next year to get the other 5. And it's basically them just saying, fuck you, you're not getting what you want, bitches.
Yeah, it really is like that, which is sort of horrifying in a weird way.
But it's great. I love it. I love getting told to just calm down, and you just have to wait for it. Good things come to those who wait. Yeah.
Well, I think I might be out of notes, Cocker.
I think I might be out of notes as well. How about that?
How about that?
How about that?
Have you got a closing statement, then?
I do. Just let me turn the page.
No! Recite it from memory.
Okay. It's good. And fuck you. And capitalism can be bad. There you go.
Yes, very good. What the fuck did I just watch? No one knows. It was such a bizarre clusterfuck from start to finish. So complex. So it was a middle finger to everybody that wants Rick and Morty to be something it isn't. I think there are a lot of people that want it to be this sort of sci-fi romp, and this is sort of the episode saying, we will never be that. We will never want to be that, and we will truly do everything we can to avoid that.
Exactly. People forget it's a cartoon.
Yeah.
I think people just fail to understand it. Would you ever expect Family Guy or South Park to come up with these massive plot things? No. So why should Rick and Morty do it?
Yeah.
Well,
have we got some shilling to do, Cocker?
We do. Listen to us rant about how shit capitalism is, and now we're going to try and sell you shit. That's grade A hypocrisy right there. I am on Instagram at O'Hiram. I'm on Facebook at Daniel K Actor, and I am on Twitter at Kerzo2000. What are you on, Lewis?
I'm on Instagram at Lewis_Brindley. I am on Twitter at LewisBrindley4, and I have a Facebook page called Lewis Brindley. The podcast is hosted by Podomatic. We're on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Deezer, YouTube, and everywhere else that you could probably ever think of. We're everywhere.
Yes, and we have a PayPal donate button.
We do.
We have Patreon, and we'd like to thank our two awesome patrons.
Super duper wonderful.
Darius.
Verified good eggs.
Darius and Chloe. Thank you, guys.
Yep.
You're what makes this show spin and keep on going. And we also, excitingly, we mentioned it in the podcast, we have new merch.
We do.
We have new anti-capitalist merch, which we have t-shirts, Shouting Into the Void t-shirts, we have Shouting Into the Void jumpers, we have mugs, we have tote bags, and we have socks.
We do.
So, yeah.
My personal favourite is the tote bag, which holds precisely 10 minutes of bullshit.
I do love that. That's a pretty good
I really like that one.
So do I. If you're wanting to find out where they are, please click the link in our bios on Instagram and Facebook, and it should be in our link tree, and it will say Shouting Into the Void merch.
If you hate link trees, it is teespring.com/stores/shouting-into-the-void. Yeah, I hope that helps. Or if it doesn't, I'm sorry.
Is that actually it?
Yeah, that's actually it. Yeah.
Oh, brilliant. And we are also partnered with a wonderful company called Number 12 Crochet Avenue.
Indeed we are.
Lewis is going to take the reins for this one.
Number 12 Crochet Avenue is a company run by my amazing, beautiful, superb wife, where she crochets, and she is really bloody good at it. You might have heard us talking about it on the podcast. In fact, you won't have done, because this is coming out on the Friday, and so on Sunday's podcast we're going to talk about the yarnathon that we did, where we knitted and crocheted for 24 hours straight to raise some money for the NHS, and in that time she did amazing witchcraft level things with the crochet, and she is super duper good at it. She takes commissions, she does amazing stuff. Go and check her out. She's at Number 12 Crochet Avenue on Instagram. I cannot recommend giving her a follow enough. She is superb.
Absolutely. Well, that's us.
It is indeed us.
What is the next episode called? Let me just check. Fuck.
True preparedness, folks.
Yep. I think it's like Prometheus or something. I'm gonna check.
Like Prometheus.
Yeah.
Oh Christ.
That's funny.
It is.
Wait. Oh, come on. Rick and Morty season 4. Yes, episode 7, Prometheus.
Good stuff.
And the caption reads, "Getting off of one's face."
Yep, that's bizarre.
Wow.
Is Morty going to do a load of drugs? Is that the plot? Who knows?
That sounds great. Who knows? Who knows? Well,
thank you very much for listening to this Whisper Into the Void about Rick and Morty Season 4. We will see you next Friday. Or Thursday if you're a patron.
Yes. Well, thank you, patrons.
Yes,
again.
Thank you again, patrons.
Will we do the classic sort of freeform shouting goodbye shit?
I kind of don't want to.
Really?
Oh, fuck it. Go on.
Goodbye! I love everything. I hate capitalism, but buy our shit. Buy our shit. I don't really. I need money.
Pickle Rick.